Hi guys, Narked Tom here with another reaction video for a scuba diving accident on YouTube, because apparently there's quite a few of these out there. So today we're going to be reacting to real diving accidents caught on camera. Emergency ascent from 18 meters. Which already gives me a lot of panic watching this. Just cover basics here. If it just said ascent from 18 meters, fine, that's completely fine and fantastic. But emergency ascent from 18 meters, that's quite deep to be doing an emergency ascent. We'll talk more about that when we see it in the video, but hopefully it's not as bad as it actually sounds there. As always though, we're going to use this video as a case study on what to do and use it as like an educational tool rather than to be mean to these other divers, although we might make a little bit of fun out of them here and there because you've done and goofed up if you had an accident in the water. But in reality, when it comes to accidents in scuba diving, most of the time, if not almost always all the time, it's preventable. It's something where the diver's made a mistake and it's something we can learn from so that we don't have to make the mistakes ourselves, and then we can avoid having the same situations that these divers go through. With that out of the way though, let's jump into the video. Okay. A dangerous turtle, a fascination with a big consequence. Wait, they're saying the turtle's the reason for this? Oh, there's a turtle, I can see him. So that diver's in trim, looking okay. I'll just tell me that's a turtle. Yeah, I saw a turtle. That's an interesting helicopter turn, but it's fine. So I'm just going to guess quickly, just from the person's getup compared to these guys' getup and how close they are together. I'm going to say that this is the instructor, and these are like students or even maybe discover scuba divers who have never scuba dived before, because that's often a grouping you do get them very close together if they're new scuba divers or like just doing it just for a fun day out. That's just my quick prediction. I just find it a bit weird that the cameraman's so far away from everyone right now. That's not good buddying up. So if the cameraman's meant to be with these two here, it should be a buddy team of 3, not just buddy team of 2. One way I can see this happening, maybe it's a Discover Scuba Dive, but their friend who's certified and got the camera is kind of tagging along for the Discover Scuba Dive. That's just my guess. Also, if I refer to Discover Scuba Dive for the rest of the video, I'm just going to call it a DSD. It's just an easy way to abbreviate it. But yeah, right now, weird grouping. This person should be a lot closer to everyone else. Oh, there's another diver as well, but again, they're further away, but at least it's not too far. I struggle against a strong current. So you can see them all kicking into the currents. That does show that they are going to a current. If it is like a drift dive like this, typically you shouldn't be kicking into it. You should just go along with the current. I don't know if it is a drift dive though, maybe not doing a drift dive. But if it's a drift dive, you just explain it. You drop into the water, you go along with the current. At the end of the dive, you deploy a DSMB, a Surface Marker Buoy, and then you ascend to the surface, and the boat will pick you up where you are. So there's no need to actually kick into a current. It's only if there's a special point of interest maybe you're trying to get to. So maybe there's a wreck further there, maybe there's more turtles over there. But generally it's a bad idea to kick into a current because it can exhaust divers, especially newer divers who aren't got good finning techniques, not good trim. Although I will say they're all pretty flat, so the trim's not bad here. So I found it a bit unusual that there's 2 divers very close together. Maybe it's just a couple want to hold hands and be romantic, I don't know. But I do find it weird that the cameraman's still very far away. That's not good buddy type grouping. And as an instructor, they probably could try and get everyone to slow down a bit and get the group back into control and get them back tight. But I'm guessing because of the currents, they are feeling like they need to get somewhere. So they're focusing so much on that, but they're neglecting the group. So to instructor on that one a little bit here. Also, I don't think it's a strong current. They're not kicking hard enough for it to be a strong current. That's more of a small plus, because if you can still go against it, it's a small plus. If it's like a medium, you'd be holding position. See, that guy's not even moving, and he's, like, is he holding the rocks? Anyway, back to the point. Sorry, small currents you can kick against and be fine. Small pluses, again, just have to kick a bit harder. Mediums you can, but it's going to be very hard work, and you probably better not to do that. You better to take shelter and just reassess the dive. And strong currents, you have no chance against it. You just got to go along with it and think about ending the dive, because it's probably a bit dangerous to go diving in strong currents. So this is realistically more of a small plus or small current that they have to kick into, and it's just because they're less experienced that they're finding this hard work. But any diver will find kicking into a current hard work for prolonged periods of time, so it can exhaust you. Again, if you're not got good breathing techniques, you can smash your air as well. So always things to consider. You shouldn't be typically kicking into current for too long, really. And if need be, possibly re-drop further up where the current is, and then just go along so you get to the point that way, instead of have to kick into the current, because it can really tired divers out. But I don't know how he's holding trim. I guess he's holding on to something. You did not just do that. Oh my God, my biggest pet hate just happened. Do not, I'm going to repeat this, do not touch marine life. So this does scream discover scuba dive, people not knowing about the ocean, not knowing good principles. Because if this is a certified diver, they should know better to not touch marine life. But also, to the instructor right now, you should have briefed this properly. It's a very important thing to talk about. Don't touch marine life, especially turtles. Turtles are a really bad one to touch. I guess I'll go over this for full context in case someone's like, hey, can you touch a turtle? Can you touch that? It's not like petting your dog. So first of all, turtles don't actually have gills. They hold their breath. So if you disturb a turtle, what's resting on there, it could startle it, it could make it panic and make it bolt to the surface because it's like, oh God, it let out its breath and it needs to get another breath. So turtles, when they do have these breaths, they can hold their breath for hours at a time. But you disturbing it could make it panic and bolt away, scare it off, cause it stress and possible situation, because often where drift diving happens, there can be quite a lot of boat traffic. So that turtle could now be in a lot of danger because you scared it off. On top of that, lots of marine life have protective layers called mucus layers on their skin. And yeah, mucus meaning snot, like your bogies up your nose. And just like your bogies up your nose, it's there to protect the animal. So bogies, if you don't know, actually stop pathogens and bacteria actually entering your body through your nose. It actually traps it all there, and it's very good stuff. So you shouldn't be picking your nose and removing it generally. But same way, turtles and other animals have it all over their skin, this kind of mucus layer to protect them. When you touch that, you are wiping it off their skin and getting rid of it. But on top of that, you also bring your bacteria, what you had on land, into their environment that they're not used to, which can cause them to get disease and bacteria as well. So there's a lot of different situations. And I guess the final one is, it's not a pet. It's not like a doggo you can go petting and just go, oh, it's cute. First, it's wild. So you wouldn't pet a wild dog because it might bite you. Same way as a wild animal, turtles can bite you. And you'd be like, oh no, it's not a good situation. So lots of things. It's not just for the turtle safety, it's for your own safety as well. It's not me being like, oh, I want to spoil your fun by telling you not to touch a turtle. It's actually a bad thing to do. So hopefully this instructor is going to jump in now and slap the hand and be like, don't do this, Jeffrey, you idiots. But, oh my God, it's just, are they going to do it as well? I was pointing at his hand. No, he's petting it as well. Oh my. What the heck? What the actual heck is that instructor to? I don't want someone to like, give me a certain number and report into his eventually. Oh my God, that actually angers me that the instructor did that as well. That's not okay. By the way, it is an assumption about the instructor, but I'm just guessing from them leading the dive and the fact they've got a different wetsuit to everyone else. Screams instructor, by the way, that's my assumption. But that is not okay. The irony as well, that is that a computer? Oh, no, actually, never mind. I was going to say, I thought it was going to be one of these bracelets because sometimes some marine conservation areas require you to pay a permit, and they sometimes give you like a little wristband for the day to let you to kind of say, hey, this person's paid and whatnot. Just make sure that everyone has paid on the reef. So the irony that they paid for marine protectors there, the irony that they paid for a marine protected area, only to then just harm marine life is just too much. But yeah. So no accident yet, and I'm still angry. I don't normally get angry at stuff like that, but this is, and it's touching the reef as well. So let's talk about that a little bit quickly as well. So let's go back in a second when it shows it on the screen. But yeah, and yeah, you can see it touching the reef again there. So if you are in a strong current situation, there are cases where if you need to rest, there's a chance it could have a problem running out of there sooner than you expect. It's a good idea to take shelter, and maybe on a rock you can hold it. But typically it's not good because even on rocks, there could be marine life there could be algae, there could be different bacteria stuff growing, which is part of the ecosystem. So you touching it, again, pushing your bacteria onto it and harming it or maybe damaging it by breaking parts of it off is not typically good. It's only if you have a situation where you could be in danger, where you should be grabbing onto any other reef just to protect yourself and shout yourself from a strong current. Right now though, it's clear because they just want to get close to the turtle to get a picture of it or whatnot. It's not good behaviour. You shouldn't be touching the reef, even when it's not like a soft coral. It's just bad practice. You need to practice good buoyancy control instead of actually having to grab onto the reef to get close to the reef. But as I say, these guys look inexperienced how close they are together anyway, but not good. At least the cameraman's closer to the other divers now. Oh god, is he going to touch it as well? I just don't like these divers. I don't want to wish ill on any diver, but low-key, this is karma that they ends up having an accident, because you are being a bad diver right now. You're far away from the group and you're touching a turtle. So I do have like a lack of sympathy to this person a little bit right now, even though I'm not meant to be being mean right now, but I'm a little bit annoyed that they're all touching the turtle. Fascinated, I forgot to check my air gauge. Oh dear. So is he going to be on, suddenly realise he's low on air? What's that? Listen to breathing. It's not the slowest of breathing, but it's not terrible. Okay, that's quite quick then. Yeah, it's quite fast breathing actually when you listen out for the breathing then. My breathing becomes different. So he is breathing quite hard in my opinion. He's not breathing at a slow, steady rate. It's partly because they're probably kicking into the currents. So again, not many people in trim. Again, if you're in current, I will say one advantage of current drift dives are you can get away with not being in trim because it's not making your kicking less efficient. You can just go along with the currents. However, it does mean that you could potentially be kicking the reef. So that divers, I think that's the instructor again, I thought. Anyway, if you are vertical, you have a chance of kicking the reef or knocking the reef. So that's why you still want to be in trim. So it's not that you want it for conserving energy, but it's more to like make sure you're in control is the idea. But the group is really far apart. So those divers are way ahead there. This diver's still a good distance away there. Very spread out group, so not good keeping the group tight together. Also, they're getting definitely higher than everyone else. I realise I have very little air left. Oh, so he starts to panic now because he realised I use the camera to make a noise. Yeah, I'll give him points for ingenuity there. Like, signalling is a big thing. So if making a noise will help underwater in that scenario. So if you are in that situation where you're like, oh, I need to get people's attention, I need to make noise, it's a good thing to, so this is why people have tank bangers, this is why they do it. You don't actually have to whack a camera. I don't think that's going to be that effective at making noise into water, unfortunately. One thing you just do is through your regulator, just make like a sound like that. It's like it mimics like a seal. It does work surprisingly well and gets people's attention. It's also why I like to brief as well on dives, like signaling, like how do you want to get people's attention? Just so if you hear there's noise, we know it's from our group and it gets my attention or I get your attention with a certain noise. Hopefully people spot them if it's making noise now. So at least he's thinking about something to do. He's very high up from the rest of the group right now though. So I don't know if that's just him subconsciously thinking I need to start ascending. Maybe it's bad breathing practice. So he's like inhaling and retaining the air, not breathing out properly. So he's starting to ascend more so. But he's getting higher and higher from the rest of the group already right now. So they're very much different. Okay. Just to go back on that point, by the way, sound travels differently underwater. So the fact the group aren't looking, can't see him, by the way, if he's making this noise, actually isn't exactly their fault. Sound travels, I think it's 5 times faster underwater. One second, let me check that. Yeah, that's correct. It's been a while since I had to quote that. So yeah, sound travels 5 times faster underwater. So the way we understand sound on the surface, like if I hear a bang over here, the sound hits my ear on the right side first and then hits my left ear. And that's how, because I felt it hit on this side first, I know the sound's coming from that direction. However, underwater, because it goes 5 times faster and hits both my ears almost simultaneously, it makes it really hard to distinguish what direction that sound came from. So a really good tip, if you do hear a sound underwater, is to actually instinctively look upwards. Because usually it might be a boat on the surface, it might be something else. But if it's someone trying to get your attention and you're just looking around on your level, you might miss one. But if you look up, you might spot someone higher up than you. So it's a good idea to always actually check upwards as well when you do hear a sound. Instead of just default go look around, because you might not see something. On top of that though as well, like these guys are on the reef, so don't look downwards, but if you are also in the below, looking downwards is also another thing to keep in mind, that sound might be coming from below you as well. That's why they probably didn't realise. So when we see them, oh come on, we see like they're not paying attention to him right now. If we go back, so he's making all this noise and no one else is looking at him. It's because they don't know where the sound's coming from, because sound travels faster underwater. So he says now you're going to perform emergency ascent. So I'm guessing where the depth rest of them are at is 18 meters. So he's already ascended a little bit, which is going to make this ascent better. But let's just talk about emergency swimming ascents right now, or good old CESA for the paddy divers. So a CESA, also known as a controlled emergency swimming ascent, is what happens when you run out of air, you're away from your buddies, and you also are 9 meters or less from the surface of the water. And the idea is what you should be doing in that situation is you get vertical, nice and vertical. You're going to put your right hand up and extended forwards so that if you do hit the surface of the water and there's something there, it's going to be your hand that hits it instead of your head. So to protect yourself, because you don't want to hit your head on the boat and get knocked out and then be unconscious on the surface. The other thing you want to do is obviously look upwards, make sure then you can see what's going on above you. And with your left hand, you're going to have it with your LPI, your low pressure inflator hose, and deflating that so the air inside your BCD can escape. So you're not having a faster and faster ascent. It's going to let you have more controlled swimming ascent. And you can start kicking upwards and you're going to be exhaling really slowly. And the way to do a very slow exhale, if you don't know, is to do a humming noise. So you go, you get the idea. And the idea is that you want to be doing this ascent still slowly because you've been diving for a while at depth, potentially. You obviously, from breathing compressed air, you're taking on nitrogen into your tissues. So to avoid DCS, that's where you want to have a slow swimming ascent to reduce the chance of getting the bends. So the swimming ascent should be 9 meters per minute. So if you're at 9 meters, that ascent's going to take you 1 minute to get there. So if he actually was at 18 meters when he started this ascent, that's a 2-minute ascent to get to surface. And that's pretty hard to do on one breath, I'm not going to lie, especially when you run out of air, because when you, the final time you actually will hit a stopping point with air, you kind of get cut off halfway through your breath, and you don't get the full breath in. So it's going to be actually very hard to do a 2-minute swimming ascent. So the fact he's a little bit higher up right now, so he's not quite down at the 18 meters, I'm assuming, makes me assume that they are going to have a bit of an easier ascent here. He might not actually be completely out of air though either, so that's just something to keep in mind. But he should still be like, again, if he's going to go straight to surface, he should have like the hand extended, be deflating, and keeping an eye on the boat traffic above him and listening out for any boat traffic. But realistically, this could be very dangerous because if it is an area with lots of boat traffic, if he's not got any signaling devices like a Surface Marker Buoy with him to inflate to warn boats that he's coming up, he could easily get hit by a boat. So this could be a very dangerous ascent right now. So even though I don't like the guy for touching turtles, I'm a bit worried for him right now. Or her. I don't know what gender the person is. Oh god. This is a quite fast ascent. This is definitely not 1 minute or 2 minutes of input. Yeah, it's already at surface. How fast was that? When did he start this? 18. That took him 16 seconds to get probably, let's give him the benefit of doubt, maybe like 12 meters instead of the 18. 60. That's way too fast, dude. That's way too fast. So there's a chance of he might get DCS on that now because that's a pretty rapid ascent. I don't know how long he's been diving, obviously, before this. So it might not have been diving too long and he just really smashed his air by swimming into the current. But that's not a good situation to be. You don't ascend that fast. Now, he's clearly got enough air because he's inflating. Okay, a second, let's go back. So he's inflating right now. So he clearly wasn't completely out of air. So he didn't have to do the longer exhale, thankfully, so it's easier. But then, because he had some level of air, there's no reason to bolt to the surface that fast. He could have took his time more so with that ascent and not risked DCS as much. But yeah, we'll see how he handles this now. But at least he can inflate on the surface now so he'll be safe. So I can see he's a guy because he's got a mustache, unless it's 2024, maybe it's a female still. Or gender neutral even. But yeah, so he's taking his regulator out, so maybe he can shout for help or something if you can see anyone. I don't know though. I am 500 meters from the shore. Just being devil's advocate right now, you can swim back to the shore at 500 meters. Just if you're fully inflated, you've got basically essentially a life jacket on you of fully inflated BCD, so you can just kick your way to the shore if you need to. Now you shouldn't do that right now because you've separated from your group and they need to know where you are. So being a good instructor right now, let's say, well, kind of good instructor because you've lost someone. But if you're a good instructor, you realise someone's missing from your group, you stop where you are, look around for 1 minute, and if you still can't see anyone, that's when you're like, okay guys, we need to go up because we're missing Jimmy over here. So then you go up to, you'll start your ascent and you'll skip your safety stop and go to surface. Obviously 18 meters, safe ascent rates, it's gonna be like 2 minutes. So the whole time it's about 3 minutes just to get them back to the surface and then they can find you more easily. and also being a good instructor right now, they should deploy a DSMB, the Surface Marker Buoy, so that he as well can find them on the surface, because they go, oh, there's my group's DSMB, I can go to that. Because part of his problem right now is he has no way of actually having a safety device on the surface. He's not got any signaling devices like a whistle. I can't see him, I don't think torches would work in this lighting, but he doesn't have that either. He doesn't have an inflatable DSMB. So he is kind of in a dangerous position. There could be boat traffic here. The water's quite black and grey, so he could easily get hit by a boat, because they might not see him, especially if they're kind of racing off to get somewhere. They're like, oh, my diver's over there, I can see their Surface Marker Buoy, let's go over to that place. You could very easily get into an accident here, and it's very, very dangerous to be on service right now without a Surface Marker Buoy or any form of signaling device. So that's the kind of scary part of this situation right now. It's also one of those reasons why, even if you're not a scuba professional, and you still should have a DSMB on you if you're doing drift dives, it's just a good idea, because if you end up in a situation, or let's say you lose the group and you need to ascend, having that Surface Marker Buoy is going to make it a lot safer to do that ascent, because it warns boats where you are on surface. And I've seen situations where I've had these things even get run over by boats. So just imagine how much more danger you're in if you actually don't even have one up on the surface of the water. They're not going to see you at all. But yeah, right now he should hold fire and wait for hopefully his group to deploy DSMB and come to the surface to find him so they can regroup. But if you can spot his boat as well, you can also signal your boat so you can get back onto the boat, because you are at risk right now being on the surface of the water. Oh, I see a boat in the distance. Yep, you can see it right there. So that might not be his boat, but at least if he gets a boat's attention, they might have a radio system so that they can radio in help. Why have you done that? I removed my mask and put it around my neck to show that I am okay. Yes, that's better than on your forehead, because lots of divers were taught when it comes to dive training that on forehead means you're panicked. You can kind of tell from how a diver looks on surface if they're panicked or not. But realistically, I would just leave that mask on your face right now. You might need to go back, have it so you can look into water, spot what's going on and stuff. You might need to just have it because the water gets a bit more choppy and waves could splash into your face and eyes. It's better just to leave that mask around your face, to be honest. It's just there to protect you from any potential hazards. Because if you take your mask off, if you put it back on again next, because it suddenly gets a bit choppy, it'll fog up. You won't have the defogging in it anymore. So by taking it off, you've kind of lost the use of that mask. So realistically, you should have just left it on his face. I know sometimes people don't find it comfortable on the surface and want to take the mask off, but in a scenario like this, when it's technically a rescue scenario or emergency scenario is probably more accurate, you should leave the mask on. So even though he's not put on his forehead, it's still a bit daft. Oh, we found the problem, guys. He's wearing split fins. I don't know why the internet hates split fins so much. I've never used them myself, but I know internet hates split fins. Leave a comment down below if you hate split fins. But yeah, maybe that's the reason why he got into trouble, because the fins aren't very effective, and that's what tied him out on the kicking against the current and the bad breathing. It's all the split fins' fault, guys. No, but jokes aside, he shouldn't be kicking right now. He should be conserving energy, resting on the surface, or if anything, shouting for help. Try and get the boat's attention, make some noise so the boat can hear you. Because I guess he doesn't have a whistle, because he'd be using a whistle right now. Some BCDs even have built-in whistles, but you should try and get the attention from the boat, because you have no way of warning boats where you are right now. The definition of insanity, by the way, has been the same thing over and over again, expecting a different result. That signalling didn't work very well before, so him trying to use whacking his camera against his tank, I don't think it's going to work. He's even further away from his group now. I think the better thing would be right now to get a boat's attention and shout for help, rather than try and whack his camera against the tank, because it's clearly not effective. Yeah, he should just get the boat's attention. There we go, shouting, thankfully. This is what you probably should shout a bit more than that, do make quite a bit of noise. Oh, I think the boat's getting closer. You can see the surface. The boat doesn't hear me. Oh, never mind. You're not shouting that much though, dude, are you? Let's be real. You're kind of just having a leisurely time onto the surface. One of my fins slips off. How has that happened? Is he wiggling his feet around? So you should be losing fins on the surface like this. It should be securely put on anyway, but I don't know how he's lost a fin at surface. Hopefully he doesn't get into a problem with this, but... Oh, he catches it just in time. Okay. But you should be losing your fin on the surface, like, you're not moving. I wave with the... Okay, that's credit where credit's due. That's a good use of a bad situation. My fin's fallen off. Oh wait, I can use it to signal because it makes me higher up out the water. So yeah, that's actually not a bad idea. Again, ideally you would have had a signalling device on it, like a whistle or a DSMB to get a boat's attention, but it's not great. Is it problema today? Yeah, problema. So it's some Spanish-speaking country, I'm assuming. The guy asked me where my boat is. I say I don't know. He tells me to wait. My boat must have been nearby because he shouts something in Spanish. So yeah, it's one of the things, if you can get a boat's attention, in some parts of the world there's a radio system so they can get on certain channels and then they can radio in for help, or maybe figure out what boat you came from because of maybe your BCD or your wetsuit, because sometimes it's branded. And oh, that's so-and-so's boat. I can then ring it in and get some help. So he got quite lucky here that they're able to ring it in. Oh, so he's back on the boat now. Oh, and he's turned into a woman. That's his daughter. I was thinking like, what? That's not the guy. So I'm happy the guy got out safely, but it definitely gets into the preventable category again. If we just quickly run through what happened. One thing I realised, I talked about it being potential DSD at the start of the dive because of the grouping. Obviously, if they're 18 metres, that's not Discover Scuba Dive depth, because that's maximum 10 metres. So it's either open water divers, open water course, or even maybe the advanced divers, and they're just doing a shallow dive. But realistically right now, with an instructor there, they should have been grouped up tighter. That's the first issue right now. They're way too far away from each other. They should have been grouped up way tighter. So that was a problem. Kicking into current, I don't get that. I feel like this is a drift dive location. I don't know if it's because they saw the turtle, so they want to go to it, so they kicked into the current to get to the turtle. But realistically, this kind of dive, it just feels like a drift dive where you just drop in, go along with the current, and when you finish diving, deploy the DSMB, and then ascend upwards and get picked up by the boat. So I think swimming to current fatigue the divers, especially ones who aren't very proficient in the water and not got the best spinning techniques. Again, it's a bad call by the instructor. So both of these are bad instructor moments more than the divers themselves. The instructor should be literally having a tighter group of them and not guiding them into the currents, because that's just going to cause fatigue. Obviously, the next thing which is an issue is they touch the turtle. For their own safety right now, it's just, as I say, you're being basically a jerk. You're harming wildlife. It could spin around, bite you, and that could cause you to freak out. You shouldn't do it. And also the instructor should know better. I'm really disappointed that the instructor touched it as well. This is just not okay. Obviously, this guy joins in the fun because everyone else is doing it, so why not join in on it? I kind of wish we could see his air gauge, because when he says that he realises he's low on air, I wish I knew what his actual low on air definition is, because some people get taught that you have to always end a dive with a third of a tank, which obviously is good to end it with a lot more air still in the tank. But reality is you shouldn't be panicking like, oh my God, there's only a third left. That's times for you to get in touch with the instructor, be like, hey, I'm low, we can exit dive. 60 bar or 1000 PSI is actually quite a lot to work with, especially in the shallows. You have quite a lot of time. So the emergency ascent, if you had quite a lot of air still in the tank, is very unnecessary to do emergency ascent right now. You could just be like, hey, I need to go, give low on air signal, or tell them like me thingy is, and then just give them the number, whatever it is. But reality wise, it's kind of hard to guess without knowing his actual air and also the depth. But realistically, if it is maybe say 60 bar or 50 bar, that's actually not low on air, by the way, guys. It's low on air, but it's actually not like I need to end the dive immediately, I'm going to run out any second. That's actually quite a bit to work with. And the worst thing you can do is start panicking, because you're going to breathe harder, you're going to get through air. As the big issue really is that the group's far apart. If he was close to his buddies, he could just like go tap on their shoulder, maybe get the alternate, and then the guide / instructor, because I've been assuming they're an instructor the whole time, but there could be a guide, would spot that and then be like, oh, okay, we need to end this dive if you're low on air, and then they can check all the air gauges. But realistically, I think this comes back to the guide being probably a bit lazy. Again, during this clip, I know it's a short clip, but I saw no OK signals going around, I saw no air checking. This sort of stuff needs to be kept an eye on, especially if divers aren't very experienced in your group. I think as the professional on site, you need to be doing more checks if you know these guys aren't good divers or you're not familiar with how they dive. And when you see them in the water like this, all spread out and doing weird body positions, you kind of need to be a bit more switched on, a bit more careful of them, keeping an eye on things. especially if you've been swimming into current, because it's going to get through the air. So when you decide afterwards you're going to go not kick into current anymore, check everyone's air before you continue the dive at that point. But yeah, the Ascent was way too fast. On surface, he did inflate his BCD, which is good. Taking off the mask was very silly. You should leave the mask on your face. Losing the fin, it's because he's unnecessarily kicking on the surface. That was very silly. But thankfully, he did realise if he could just fin to signal, he could shout. And thankfully, the boat did find him before any other boat potentially rammed into him. So very lucky there. But it just goes to show why signalling devices are very important to have on you, even if you're not the professional on site of the dive. Because if you lose the group, it can keep you safe on the surface of the water like that. So yeah, that's the main takeaways from this dive. If you're going to take at least one thing away from this video, do not touch marine life, because you saw probably I got pretty vexed looking at that.
Flashback.
What the heck? What the actual heck is that instructor to? And if you've got around a good instructor, they will get vexed and they might even hit your hand or want to hit you. So just keep that in mind that it's not a good idea. But the big issue with this dive from the fundamental side of things is that they just weren't staying close together in the group and weren't monitoring their air supply. It's the main takeaways. If you found anything else in the video which I didn't mention, please leave a comment down below so you can add more value to this video. And if you enjoyed the video and found it interesting to watch, please give it a like. It helps me out a ton. It will help other divers find this video too. Anyway guys, I've been Narked Tom. I hope you're having awesome dives and staying safe in the ocean. And I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye bye.